All right, if you're a cloud architect, you know the deal. Multi-cloud backups can be an absolute nightmare, right? It's this complex, tangled mess. Well, today, we're going to draw a map to unify all of that. Let's dive in.
So let's put you in the driver's seat. For the next few minutes, you're the senior multi-cloud architect. You're the one calling the shots, responsible for your company's entire digital kingdom.
And because you're that expert, you know exactly what your biggest challenge is. It's that one mission-critical problem that we're about to unpack right now.
Okay, so first, let's just map out the terrain. We're calling it the multi-cloud maze, and it's a good name for it because it's this complicated, fragmented world where your company's most important asset, its data, is scattered all over the place, and that creates risk at every single turn.
Which brings us to a really important question. Is your data spread out across a ton of different silos? For most companies, this isn't some hypothetical. It's the reality they live with every single day. And this is what that fragmentation actually looks like, right? You're juggling object storage in AWS, Azure, and Google. You've got different managed databases. You've got your classic SQL servers. And here's the kicker. Every single one of these is its own little island. It's got its own API, its own backup tools, its own security policies. It's not just complicated, it's also really expensive, with hidden costs from things like data egress fees, and it puts you at a huge risk of vendor lock-in. But hey, every maze has a solution, an escape route, and that brings us to our next section, the quest for unification. It's time to go from total chaos to having real control. So what's the secret weapon for this quest? It's something called backup orchestration. The best way to think about it is like a command center for everything related to your backups and recoveries. It is that single point of control that lets you manage operations across every single cloud you're on, turning that tangled web into a smooth, streamlined system.
I love this quote because it just nails it. One schedule to rule them all. See, having a central schedule isn't just about making your life easier. It's about having one source of truth, one set of consistent rules across your entire data landscape. And you know what that means? It means you can actually prove compliance and ace those audits because you have one single place that shows how every bit of critical data is protected.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get down to brass tacks, the how. How does this whole orchestration thing actually work in the real world?
It really boils down to these three core functions. Just imagine it. One schedule for every backup, a single dashboard where you can see if they all worked, and the power to restore data from anywhere to anywhere with just a few clicks. That consolidated report, by the way, that's not just a nice to have, it's your early warning system. It's how you catch a failed backup before it turns into a full-blown crisis.
And when you put the two side by side, the difference is just, well, it's night and day. The old way, the siloed way, it's just a recipe for complexity, for human error, and a lot of sleepless nights. But with unified orchestration, you get simplicity, you get central control, and, most importantly, you get resilience. And that resilience leads us to the ultimate goal, right? The whole reason we're doing any of this in the first place, the resilience payoff. This is where you see the real bottom line business value. Let's be totally honest with each other. Backups, they're the easy part. The real test of your entire architecture, the one thing that truly defines whether you succeed or fail, is recovery. When disaster strikes, can you get the business back on its feet, and how fast? This right here, this captures the whole shift in mindset. You stop being just a manager of data and storage, and you become a guarantor of business continuity. You're not just protecting files anymore. You're making sure the entire business can survive and thrive, no matter what gets thrown at it. So let's leave it with this final thought. As an architect, you know your data is everywhere. The real question is your recovery plan? Because a plan that lives in a dozen different places isn't really a plan at all. And that's the challenge that orchestration solves. Thanks for hanging out with me today.